Welcome back, students. Today we shall begin a new chapter from our supplementary book, Moments. The name of the chapter is Weathering the Storm of Erisma. Now, Erisma is a place. The cyclone that hit Orissa, it's in southern part of India, in Orissa, in October 1999, killed thousands of people and devastated hundreds of villages, means destroyed. For two dreadful nights, Prashant, that is the main character in the story, a young man was marooned. Marooned means who is left alone, stranded on an island, in a way, on the roof of a house. On the third day, he decides to go to his village. Did he find his family or did he lose his family members? What were the obstacles that he came through while visiting his village is in the story as it goes on. So let's begin the topic. On 27th October 1999, 7 years after his mother's death, Prashant had gone. Now here Prashant, we have to remember that Prashant is the main character in the lesson. Prashant had gone to the block headquarters of Erisma, a small town in coastal Orissa. And before we begin, about the author, it's written by Harsh Mandir, that is the author of the entire chapter. Town in coastal Orissa, some 18 kilometers from his village. So where he was away from his village. He was away and 18 kilometers from his village to spend the day with his friend. So Prashant, the narrator of the story, had visited his friend and he was 18 kilometers away from his own village. In the evening, a dark and menacing storm, menacing means from which we are afraid of, quickly gathered. Winds beat against the house with a speed and fury that Prashant had never witnessed before. And this is a real story that we should keep in mind. Really, this storm had hit in the coastal part of the Erisma in Orissa. Winds beat against the house with speed and fury that Prashant had never witnessed before. Heavy and incessant rain filled the darkness. Ancient trees were uprooted and crashed to the earth. Screams rent the air as people and houses were swiftly washed away. It was a really very dangerous storm, and all the things in the village and town were swept away. The angry waters swirled into his friend's house neck deep. Just imagine in this where he was away from his village. It was a city, but yet the water were up to neck deep. Means the entire house was engulfed through the rainwater. The building was of brick and mortar and was strong enough to survive the devastation of the wind's velocity of 350 kilometers per hour. You can imagine when we are driving through a bike or a car, if it is on the speed of 80 to 90 kilometers, that is also we feel a lot of air gushing through and it's a lot of speed. So you can imagine that that is the only speed of that you witness is about 80 to 90 kilometers, or maybe if you are driving very fast in a car it may be a 100 kilometers per hour, but there the velocity of the wind was 350 kilometers per hour. So you can imagine how fast it is. So nothing can survive in that. But cold terror of the family grew with the crashing of trees that had got uprooted. Obviously, winds of 350 kilometers per hour, none of the tree would survive, and even the weak houses will just fall off. But the cold terror of the family grew with the crashing trees. All the trees were uprooted, that had got uprooted and fallen on their houses. Means the trees, the problem was that the trees were uprooted and these trees fell on the houses, breaking down the houses also. Sometime in the middle of the night, damaging its roof and wall. So due to the wind, the falling of the tree, the house which are strong, those houses were also broken because the trees were falling on the houses, on the roofs, breaking them down, on the walls, breaking them. The crazed destruction wrought by the cyclone and the surge of the ocean continued for the next 36 hours. Just imagine that for 36 hours, this was the situation, the storm, the rain, the wind, everything. Although wind speed had reduced after that, when the cyclone got a little bit weak, the wind had reduced somewhat by the next morning, but during the night it was very harsh. But as the morning in the morning, the speed of the wind had reduced a bit in the morning. To escape the water rising in the house, Prashant and his friend's family had taken refuge on the roof. So the water was pouring in the streets, the houses, and it was not safe staying inside the house because always it was the water was neck deep. You could drown in your own house also. So what did they do? They went on the roof to save themselves. Prashant will never forget the shock he experienced at his first glimpse of the devastation wrought by the super cyclone. And as the day broke, there was light, because mostly the storm it had taken place during the night. But when it was day, the picture was clear. They could see what the storm had done throughout the night, and that is Prashant was very much afraid of what he saw by the super cyclone in the grey light of the early morning. A raging, deadly brown sheet of water covered everything as far as the eyes could see. Just imagine. So, the water, obviously, when it rains a lot, it floods away everything, and that water is really very, very dirty, full of mud. So it was as if there was a brown sheet and it had covered throughout wherever you would see, everywhere it was filled with water, and the brown sheet of water covered everything as far as the eyes could see. Only fractured cement houses still stood in a few places. See, fractured means broken houses. Those houses which were made up of cement were also broken, and only those houses stood. The others had fallen at few places only. Potted animals, carcasses means the dead animals which float in the water after when they are dead. There are carcasses and human corpse. Human corpse means human dead bodies floated in every direction. Just imagine if you wake up and you see such a scene that everywhere in the water, dead animals, and not only animals but people are floating in the water, dead people floating in the water. What would the scene be? So, this is what he saw when the day broke in the morning. Human corpse floated everywhere in all directions. Human bodies were floating all around. Even huge old tree had fallen, and not only the uh, trees, those trees which were old and very strong, huge trees, they had also fallen down. Two coconut two coconut trees had fallen on the roof of their house, and two coconut trees had fallen on his friend's roof. This was a blessing in disguise. So here Prashant says that it was a blessing. Why? It is said here that those trees which had fallen on his roof, coconut trees, it was a blessing. Why it was a blessing? Because the tender coconuts from the trees kept the trapped families from starving in this several day that followed. Means that coconut, the, you can imagine that the entire house is submerged in water. The first thing, the first problem, you can save yourself, that is okay, but the main problem is of food and water, because everything is submerged in water. You don't get pure drinking water. First of all, you don't get drinking water, and the other is that everything is engulfed in the water, drowned, submerged in water. All the things that you eat are also not usable. You cannot eat them now because they are in the water, obviously. How can you eat them? So, the coconut tree that had fallen was a blessing for them because they could eat at least nothing they had, but they could eat the coconut which was fallen on the roof, kept them alive. And here he says that several other days they had to survive several other days with the same condition. For the next 2 days, Prashant sat huddled with his friends, family in the open of the roof top. They had no place, they could not go down because it was everywhere, it was water, everything had drowned. So they had to sit there in the open roof, on the open roof, wet, hungry, tired, afraid, everything on the rooftop. They froze in the cold and incessant rain. Now, obviously, they had no place to hide, to protect. They had no roof on their head because they were on the roof itself, and still the rain was pouring in. So they were getting wet. It was cold. They could not dry themselves. They had no other clothes. So you can imagine the situation. The rain water washed away Prashant's tears. The only thought that flashed through his mind was whether his family had survived the fury of the super cyclone. Now, Prashant was very much worried because the thing was that he was away from his village, from his house where he lived, because he was at his friend's house. Now, he was just imagining that what was the condition at my village? Did my village survive? Did my family members survive this storm? What was the condition? You can just imagine. And no mobile phones were there during that time. So you can imagine that they could not contact. And during this situation, all these things do get damaged and they don't work also. So you cannot contact people anywhere. So now he was worried about his own family, that what would have happened to them. He was to be braved once again. 2 days later, which seemed to Prashant like 2 years. Now, those 2 days felt as if it had been 2 years. Was nothing he could do but just wait and think of his family and just keep on crying. He, the rain ceased, means stopped, and the rainwater slowly began to recede. Means after that the rain stopped, so the entire city which was drowned in the rainwater, slowly that water started receding, means getting, the level was getting slowly down. Prashant was determined to seek out his family without further delay. Now, just before that, he could not enter the water, he could not touch the ground. Obviously, the water was so high. So, as the water level came down, the first thing in his mind was to go and find his family. He could not wait, he could not delay himself waiting. He just wanted to rush to his family because he was very much worried about them. But the situation was still dangerous, but yet the situation was dangerous. You can imagine, as far as your eyes could see, there was, throughout there was water. You cannot just walk because you may drown somewhere. So still the situation was very much dangerous, and his friend's family pleaded with Prashant to stay back a little while longer. So his friend and his family said that it is not very safe. You cannot go in this situation. You have to stay here still. But Prashant knew he had to go. But Prashant was determined to go and he decided that he wanted to go. And he was so much worried. He equipped himself with a long, sturdy stick. What did he do? He found a stick somewhere long. Through that, just put the stick and get the level of the water, and he could cross and he could travel. So the stick was he found out a stick, a long one, and then started on the 18-kilometer expedition back to the village. So obviously now he had to go to his village, which was 18 kilometers. 18 kilometers walking in a normal situation is also a very long distance. So you can imagine if it is flooded throughout, there is water as far as you could see, because the storm didn't hit a small place. The storms have an enormous size. We can understand their scale is very very high, very big. So everywhere the situation was same. So for 18 kilometers you cannot walk in the water and in that dangerous situation. But yet Prashant decided to start his journey. So he took a long sturdy stick and he started the 18-kilometer expedition, because obviously there was still water. You cannot travel by any other means. You have to walk in the water back to his village through the swollen flood water, and throughout there was flood water. It was a journey he would never forget, and obviously it is a really very treacherous and a dangerous decision that he took, and nobody would forget such a thing. So here it is said that he would never forget that. He constantly had to use his stick to locate the road. What was he doing? He was just banging the stick in the water and getting the indication as if there is a road beneath, because the road is a bit hard, and he was using that stick and he was going forward and forward, moving forward to determine where the water was most shallow, and there he was using the stick and finding out that where the water was shallow, there he kept one step by one step he started moving. Just imagine how long it would take in this situation to reach 18 kilometers. At place it was waist deep. See, when he was moving, at few places it was waist, up till his waist the water was, and progress was slow. So you cannot, obviously, scientifically also you cannot walk in water, because it becomes very difficult for you to walk in water when it is waist deep or the water is high. You cannot move yourself freely, so it takes very long to move. And several points he lost the road and had to swim. At few places it was there was no road, and he never knew how deep the water was, so he had to swim, and he had to swim forward, but yet he continued his journey. After some distance, he was relieved to find two friends of his uncle who were also returning to their village. But while he was going, he found two of his uncle's friend, two people more. Those who, they were also just in the same position, and they were going towards the village, and they were also traveling back. So he had a company now. They were also returning to the village, and he knew them. They decided to move ahead together. So they decided that we all three will move ahead together. As they waded through the water, now what do they do? They started moving in the water. All three of them, now it was better that they could move. All three of them were moving together. The scene they witnessed grew more and more macabre. That means very, very sad, pitiful. As they were moving forward, the scene that they saw was really, really very macabre, means very, very pitiful, sad, ugly in the sense. Why? They had to push away many human bodies, men, women, children. Just imagine if you are walking in the water waist deep and there are dead bodies floating next to you. It is really, really very sad to see, and it is not what we come across in everyday life. Nobody is habituated to it. Nobody has the habit of seeing all these things. So just dead people floating everywhere in the water, even small children, the carcasses of dogs, goats, and cattle that had currently swept against them as they moved ahead. and the dead animals. They had to move those dead animals which were in the way, and cause due to the storm, many of them had drowned, many of them might have got injured and dead. So this was the situation. Yet they kept on moving to their destination. They were moving towards their village, swept against as they moved ahead. In every village that they passed, they could barely see a house standing. And there was not only there were he had to travel 18 kilometers. So obviously there were other villages also on the way. And when he says that when he was passing through those villages, he could not see any house standing, means all the houses in the villages had broken down, had been smashed through the storm. Prashant now wept out loud and long. Prashant started crying, weeping loudly because when he was seeing all this situation on the scenes, he understood that obviously now if this is the situation here, it would be the same in my village. So maybe I might have lost my family members also. So he understood the situation. He started crying very loudly and he cried for very long. He was sure that his family could not have survived the catastrophe. Catastrophe means the accident that took place, the mishap. So he understood now. The picture was clear for him also that obviously it is very clear that now my family might not have survived. When I'll reach the village, I will not see my family. So this was what he understood. Eventually, Prashant reached his village, Kallikuda. That is the name of his village. By this treacherous and the hard journey that he had begun, he ultimately reached his village. His heart went cold, and when he reached his village, his heart went cold because obviously, as I told you, the storm is same everywhere. So he understood that the same storm had hit his village and nobody would have survived here too. So his heart went cold. Where their homes once stood, there was only remnants of its roof. So where the houses were, where his house was, and the homes were of people in the village, now only the roofs were visible, only the roofs were there. When the entire house had fallen down, the roofs were there only. Some of their belongings were caught, mangled, and twisted in the branches of the tree. Just imagine those the things, the belongings that you have in your house. The storm had swept, the water had been in the house, and everything was out of the house, had rushed out through the water, and those belongings of the houses were mangled, means were in the trees, twisted in the branches, were caught up in the trees. So you can imagine how sad you feel. And things were lying on the tree branches. So that was the level of the water. So much was the water in the village. Branches of the tree just visible above the dark water, and that was those trees and the things were uh, just visible out of the dark water. So still there was water everywhere. Young Prashant decided to go to the Red Cross shelter to look for his family. So Prashant was a bit intelligent. He knew that in this situation, where should he go? So he decided to go to the shelter house. That was the Red Cross. That is the organization we know. Just like we have the WHO, World Health Organization. Red Cross also works in such a way. So he decided to go to the Red Cross shelter to look for his family. So he had still a hope that maybe somebody might have survived and they might have been taken, or they might have gone to the Red Cross shelter. They might be alive there. So he decided that he should everywhere rest everywhere. The houses were broken, there was water everywhere, and he knew that if somebody is alive, he or she might be at the Red Cross shelter home. So to find his family, he decided to go there. We shall continue the chapter in the next lecture. Thank you very much.